Millionaire's daughter pulls Maid's hair. Her unexpected reaction left everyone in tears. It was lunchtime at Maplewood Academy, and the buzzing cafeteria was filled with laughter and the clattering of trays. Glittering chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and the wealthy elite of Maplewood were indulging in gourmet meals. But in the midst of this polished environment, 16-year-old Kayla sat, boredom creeping into her bones like a slow poison. Surrounded by designer bags and the latest iPhones, she felt an unbearable emptiness gnawing inside her. That day, as her friends giggled and whispered, Kayla's impulse took over. With a mischievous smirk, she tugged playfully on Maria's long braid. Maria, the maid who had worked tirelessly for Kayla's family since she was a child, turned around. The look on her face was not one of anger, but rather an unexpected compassion that silenced the chatter of the surrounding girls. Do you know what it felt like to leave everything behind? To chase a dream? Maria began, her voice calm, yet powerful enough to command the attention of the room. The cafeteria, a place once filled with whispers of envy and laughter, became a theater of heartfelt emotion. Maria recounted her journey from Mexico, speaking of the sacrifices she made for her children and the resilience that fueled her quest for a better life. For Kayla, time stood still. She could see the weight of Maria's story pulling on the hearts of those around her. The laughter faded, replaced by staring eyes and hushed breaths. Her friends shifted uncomfortably, some cheeks now wet with tears. In that moment, Kayla felt an unfamiliar tingle of shame creeping up her spine as her carefree world clashed loudly against Maria's reality. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The aftermath of that single event detonated a storm in Maplewood. Some parents rushed to protect their daughter, rallying behind Kayla to shield her from the ridicule creeping closer each day. But amidst the affluent, there were others who sided with Maria, who remembered the lingering hardship in their families' histories. Gossip swelled, dividing the town like a crack that widened between rich and poor. Maria, however, would not be silenced. She organized a community festival, determined to bridge the gap in a way that would awaken empathy and understanding. As days passed, the tension swirled in the air, and Kayla also felt it, a sudden ripple that shifted her priorities from parties and gossip to something deeper, something that felt real. Festival day arrived, and as Maria stood before a crowd, sharing hope and resilience from her heart, Kayla lingered at the edges. Her internal battle was fierce, courage was daunting, her privilege now a stark weight on her shoulders. Could she confront her actions? Would she find a way to change? As their eyes met amidst a sea of expectant gazes, a silent question hovered: would Kayla take the plunge towards redemption, or remain a prisoner of her privilege? The community, a tapestry of contrasting lives, watched and waited, hearts laden with uncertainty. Kayla's heart raced as she stood on the sidelines of the bustling festival. Brightly colored tents dotted the green park, the scent of tacos mingling with the sweet aroma of churros wafting through the air. Children laughed and played, a world apart from the tension that had gripped Maplewood since the cafeteria incident. But for Kayla, the atmosphere felt stifling, heavy with reminders of her actions. As Maria spoke to the crowd, her voice wove through the air, drawing in the listeners with each word. Kayla could see the passion that ignited Maria's eyes, the warmth that enveloped the space around her. It was as if the moment belonged to her, an unyielding testament to resilience. With every story Maria shared, Kayla's guilt deepened. How could she laugh and flirt knowing she had made someone feel so small just days earlier? How can I make this right? Kayla thought, biting her lip as worry etched lines across her brow. The image of Maria's sadness flashed in her mind, the pain of that moment overwhelming her. The cheers from her friends felt distant, a reminder that she stood at a crossroads, one path leading back to superficiality, the other towards something profoundly transformative. Meanwhile, Maria stepped down from the makeshift stage, weaving her way through the crowd. Kayla felt a pull in her chest, an urge to reach out, to apologize, to understand what the other side of privilege felt like. Still, her nerves tethered her feet to the ground. How could she voice the remorse that had lodged like a stone in her throat? Just then, Maria approached the children running a booth nearby, handing out ribbons and beads. Her laughter rang out, floating across the plaza like a gentle melody. Kayla watched, her heart clenching. In that moment, it struck her. Every particle of the vibrant festival, every smile and laughter, was founded upon the strength of stories like Maria's. In a sudden burst of determination, Kayla took a deep breath and walked forward. She could hear her friends' voices behind her, but they faded as she focused on those moments. She had ignored the unflinching reality of Maria's struggles. "Maria?" Kayla called out, her voice threading through the noise around them. Maria turned, surprised. For a heartbeat, they stood separated by the crowd and the weight of unspoken words. "I'm sorry," Kayla's voice trembled. The world seemed to narrow in on itself, leaving just the two of them. "I've been so blind to what you've been through. I never meant to hurt you." Maria studied her, and for a long moment, silence hung in the air. The crowd continued to revel, but their small universe held a palpable tension. Would Maria accept her apology? Would she see the sincerity behind Kayla's eyes? For Kayla, this was more than just an apology. It was her chance to step into the world as someone new, someone willing to learn rather than hide behind her privilege. As Maria's expression softened, a flicker of hope ignited in Kayla's chest. But before they could delve deeper, the ground shook beneath a sudden cheer from the crowd, calling for the next event. "Wait!" Kayla exclaimed, feeling the moment slip away. The question on her lips lingered: could forgiveness give her a way to heal not just herself, but the divide in their community? The festival around them danced with life, but for Kayla, her journey was just beginning, and the real challenge lay ahead. Would she find the courage to step into her own story, alongside Maria and the others? A wave of energy pulsed through the crowd, but all that truly existed for Kayla was the space between her and Maria. The look in Maria's eyes seemed to echo her own turmoil, a blend of hurt and reluctant hope. Kayla's heart pounded in her chest as people cheered and the next performance began, yet their shared silence felt like a cocoon shielding them from the chaos around. Why is it so hard to connect? She thought, frustration boiling underneath her determination. It wasn't enough just to say she was sorry. Deep down, she knew she had to do more, to be more. With each surge of adrenaline, Kayla felt the warmth of the festival transform into a pressure that was almost suffocating. Maria's gaze pierced through her uncertainty. "Why now?" she seemed to ask. Kayla swallowed nerve and approached, her voice soft yet firm. "Can we talk?" There was an instant when Maria held her breath as if weighing what could happen next. The energy around them buzzed with anticipation from passers-by eager for the next attraction, unaware of the intimate drama unfolding just before them. "Okay," Maria finally answered, her voice steady. She stepped closer, and in that small movement, Kayla sensed the walls begin to crack. They walked a few steps to a calmer area, the festivities fading into dull background noise. "I don't expect you to forgive me," Kayla started, her hands trembling slightest, "but I need you to know how sorry I am for everything I said. I know it wasn't just that one moment, it was the way I acted before that day. I was arrogant and thoughtless." Maria's expression remained neutral, but Kayla caught a flicker of something deeper, perhaps interest, perhaps a spark that encouraged her to delve even more into the open wound. "I didn't see you, Maria. It was easier for me to stay blind. But now, I want to understand." A silence swelled, thick and tense. Kayla felt every eye upon her, every heartbeat echoing her thoughts. After what felt like an eternity, Maria spoke, her voice measured yet so full of life. "It's hard, living in a place where people don't see you for who you are." Her eyes darkened slightly. "But I never imagined you'd care. You've always been one of them." The weight of Maria's words crashed over Kayla like a cold wave. "I don't want to be one of them anymore. I want to be someone who fights for you, for all of us. I want to help bridge the gap between our lives. Please, teach me." Maria's expression softened, the tension in her shoulders loosening just a fraction. "It's not as simple as a conversation, "I know," Kayla said. "But if I just keep walking away, nothing will change. Tell me what you need from me. I want to help. I'll do anything." Maria's face was unreadable for a moment before a hint of a smile broke through the seriousness. You're going to learn that helping isn't always easy. Are you prepared for that? Yes, Kayla replied, the flame of determination igniting once more. As their eyes locked, something shifted. A small moment of understanding suspended in time, bridging the gap created by silence and pain. The festival continued its rhythm, a blur of color and sound, enveloping them in a cocoon of tentative hope. What if instead of just accepting your apology, I show you the truth of my story? Because if you're serious, Maria paused, allowing the gravity of her words to sink in. There's a lot to uncover. Kayla's breath hitched, excitement and fear intertwining. She knew this was just the beginning but felt the thrill of something deeper. This journey may shake the very foundation of everything she thought she knew. As they walked back towards the bustling crowd, the laughter and joy around them felt different now, colored by the weight of truth, yet charged with possibility. Would Kayla's heart be ready for what lay ahead? Would the revelations bind them or tear them apart? Whatever the outcome, she was done hiding. Ready or not, the real story was about to unfold. Kayla felt a swell of anticipation coursing through her, but it mixed uneasily with fear. What did Maria mean by the truth of her story? Her mind raced with 1,000 possibilities as they moved further into the crowd, where the vibrant colors of the festival surrounded them like a warm hug. Where should we start? Kayla asked, her voice barely rising above the jubilant noise of laughter and music. Maria glanced around like she was searching for the right spot. Her brows furrowed slightly as she contemplated. Let us go to the quieter area by the fountain, she suggested. It's easier to think there. Without waiting for a response, she led the way, and Kayla hurried to keep up, her heart hammering in her chest. When they reached the fountain, water danced like silver under the signage lights, casting flickering reflections. They sat on the edge of the stone basin, the gentle splash providing a soothing soundtrack to the rawness of their conversation. Maria took a deep breath, her fingers idly tracing the rim of the fountain. You really want to know? She asked, her voice almost a whisper. You might not like what you hear. Kayla nodded, willing to take the plunge, even if it meant confronting uncomfortable truths. I can handle it. I want to know your story, Maria. Please. Maria hesitated for a moment, searching for the right words. I grew up in a place where nobody noticed if you weren't part of the picture-perfect scene. I was always in the background, just a shadow. Her gaze drifted away from Kayla's, focusing instead on the water. Even when I was right in front of them, it felt like I didn't exist. A knot tightened in Kayla's throat. She recalled her own actions, her past insensitivity. I never wanted you to feel invisible. I was blinded by my own, privilege, I guess. Yes, Maria said, her voice growing stronger. It's not just you. The whole system is built that way. You can have everything, and still, I can feel like I'm nothing. I'm just the maid in your world, right? Kayla flinched. The words hit harder than she expected, echoing the very insecurities she had witnessed in Maria before. But you're not just that. You're so much more. Maria's laughter was humorless, a stark contrast to the festival's cheerfulness. More? You haven't even seen it yet. I've had to fight to be recognized, Kayla. And almost everyone around me sees an extension of their luxury. They don't bother to understand. I want to understand. Kayla's voice cracked, the urgency spilling out. This isn't a charity case for me. I'm tired of pretending everything is fine and dandy. I want to learn what it means to have a voice. Maria turned to her, the flash of vulnerability visible in her eyes. It means digging up old wounds. Are you sure you want to go down that road? My life hasn't been an easy one. Yes, Kayla affirmed, forcing a steadiness she didn't quite feel. I'm ready. A moment stretched between them. Kayla could see the war within Maria, courage waging a battle against doubt. Okay, but it could hurt, Maria finally said. It could change everything between us. I'm willing to risk it all. I want the truth, Kayla insisted, her voice steady now, full of conviction. As the laughter and music swirled around them, making the world outside fade away. Kayla took another breath, bracing herself for the journey into Maria's life, filled with unvarnished hardship, struggle, and perhaps hope. With her heart racing, Kayla sensed the monumental story about to unfold like a tapestry woven from pain and resilience. But even as she steeled herself for the revelations, a nagging thought pricked at her mind. What if the truth shattered everything she thought she understood? As Maria opened her mouth to begin, Kayla couldn't help but wonder, was she truly prepared for the reality of Maria's world? Maria inhaled deeply, her eyes momentarily flickering to the dancing water. The music from the festival seemed to dim, as if the universe was leaning in closer to catch every word. I remember the first time I realized I didn't belong, she said, her voice steady despite the emotion simmering just beneath the surface. I was 8 years old. My mother would take me to work with her sometimes when the regular caretaker couldn't make it. I remember standing by the pool, my tiny fingers trailing through the water. And that's when I saw you. Kayla held her breath, the name hanging in the air like a fragile thread. You and your friends were laughing, splashing around, wearing those perfect clothes, Maria continued, her gaze now fixed on the fountain, as if the recollection had pulled her into another world. You were carefree, completely basking in your privilege. And I was just the girl who scrubbed the floors upstairs, cleaning up after all of you. Kayla's chest tightened. She thought back to those carefree days, oblivious to the people like Maria who worked behind the scenes. I never thought about your life, she uttered, guilt threading her tone. Exactly, Maria replied, suddenly fierce, her voice breaking through the stillness. Everyone looked right past me. I was just the shadow at the edge of your perfect picture. And it hurt. It hurt to know I was there, invisible, while everyone else got to live inside the bright colors of that world. I'm so sorry, Kayla whispered, the weight of her past actions pressing heavily down. Maria didn't respond immediately. Instead, she seemed to drift deeper into the painful memory. Then there was that time I remember standing by the pool and watching you all. I had this impulse, this desire to be a part of it, even for just a moment. So I reached out. I touched the edge of your world. Her voice tapered off, emotions spilling over like the fountain's water. What happened? Kayla leaned forward, hanging on to every word. Maria hesitated, letting the silence absorb the surrounding chaos. I was pulled into the splash, a kind of joyous fun interrupted by your laughter. But then it turned ugly fast. One of your friends, she grabbed my hair and laughed. Said I didn't belong there, that I should go back to cleaning. Everyone joined in. I wasn't just a maid anymore. I was a joke. Kayla recoiled at the thought, anger bubbling up. How could they? It was just a moment for them, you know? A joke among friends. Maria's expression darkened. But for me, it was everything. I had exposed myself, revealed a desire to be part of a world that didn't want me. That day, I stopped pretending I could be anything other than what I was. I can't believe that happened, Kayla said, her voice trembling. That's awful. Maria nodded, her eyes reflecting the flicker of the fountain's lights. Painful, but it also made me stronger. I realized I had to create my own identity, beyond the jobs I worked. I fought to be seen, to be more than just the maid in your world. Didn't you want to scream at them? Kayla asked, desperate to understand. Every day? Maria's voice was fierce now. But how could I? When you're constantly labeled as less than, it's hard to fight back. You're seen as invisible. Kayla's heart raced as she sensed the heaviness of Maria's pain, echoing in her own life. I never wanted to make you feel that way. I know, Maria said softly, the sharpness ebbing. But understanding that pain, that's the truth I wanted you to grasp. It's not just about seeing me. It's about fighting for each other. As Maria's words opened up like a wound and a healing balm all at once, Kayla felt herself teetering on the brink of her own transformation. How do we fight, Maria? Maria looked down at the water, a flicker of hope in her eyes. We start by telling our stories. Together, Kayla could feel a surge of courage igniting within her. But there was still so much to uncover. What happened after that? She asked, eager yet anxious to dig deeper. Let us just say, Maria's smile was bittersweet. The fight was just beginning. As the laughter of the festival began to swell around them again, Kayla's thoughts raced ahead. She had opened a door, but did she truly have the strength to walk through it? What awaited her on the other side of Maria's story? Maria's gaze was locked on the water, the reflection of the colorful lights creating fascinating patterns beneath the surface. It was as if the universe was winking at her, reminding her that change was possible. There were moments of anger, you know, but they needed to transform into something more powerful, she said. Kayla felt her heart race as she leaned forward. What do you mean? Maria tilted her head, finally meeting Kayla's eyes. Instead of letting that pain fester, I chose to channel it. I started volunteering at local community centers, helping kids who felt invisible like I once did. Every smile I received in return was like a balm for my soul. Kayla nodded, her chest swelling with admiration. That's incredible. You didn't just sit back, you fought back. Exactly, Maria said, her voice filled with passion. And part of my journey was learning to understand others, even the ones who hurt me. Everyone has their own battles, after all. I realized they were trapped in their own worlds, just as I was. Did it change how you felt about that moment at the pool? Kayla asked, needing to understand the full arc of Maria's transformation. Maria paused, her expression shifting as if she were turning an old photograph over in her mind. At first, I carried it as a scar, a wound that defined me. But then I decided to see it differently. That moment, horrific as it was, sparked my desire to be a voice for those who felt just like me. To fight for change. That's amazing, Kayla breathed. She felt a wave of emotion wash over her. I wish I had the courage to do something like that. Maria leaned in closer, her voice low but firm. You do have that courage. It's in you. You just have to look within and then let it out. Kayla hesitated, her thoughts intertwining with a mix of excitement and dread. But what if I mess up? What if I say the wrong thing? Everyone stumbles, Maria assured her, a warmth in her eyes. It's not about being perfect. It's about trying, about speaking, about saying enough when you witness injustice. You're beginning to see, to understand. That's the first step. Kayla felt a spark of hope, but an unsettling thought nagged at her mind. What if they don't want to hear my story? What if they just see me as part of the problem? Then you show them through your actions, Maria encouraged. You demonstrate change. People can feel sincerity. They can feel when someone is trying, even if it's not perfect. In that instant, Kayla felt like a balloon filling up with air, the potential within her ready to burst out. So we speak up. We share our stories, yes, Maria confirmed, a smile spreading across her face. And together, we learn to lift others up. Hope doesn't stay silent, it echoes. The festival atmosphere bubbled around them, the bright lights twinkling like stars in a night sky. For the first time, Kayla felt the weight of her past shedding away, replaced by a rush of purpose. But uncertainty still loomed, lurking like shadows in her mind. As Maria continued to share her journey, Kayla's thoughts began to swirl. She had seen glimpses of a new path opening up before her. But what immense responsibility would come with it? And would her world ever truly embrace what she had to say? Do you think they'll listen? She mused, anxiety lacing her voice. Maria looked at her, serious now. They have to, because what's at stake now is so much more than just us. It's about creating a world where no one feels invisible. Kayla's heart pounded as she considered the weight of that statement. Could she break those barriers? Could she step outside her privilege for the sake of others? And then, just as that thought settled, a new challenge flickered in the back of her mind. What about the ones who don't want change? As that question echoed in the air, both women fell silent, waiting for the answer that felt just out of reach. Kayla's stomach twisted. The vibrant festival around them faded into a blur. The laughter of children, the crackle of fireworks, even the sweet aroma of funnel cake became distant sounds, overshadowed by her fear. What did Maria mean by what's at stake? Maria's eyes narrowed slightly, her hand resting on her knee. It won't be easy, Kayla. There will always be those who resist change. They cling to their power and refuse to see anyone else's pain. But that doesn't mean you should back down. Kayla's pulse quickened. What do you do then? How do you fight against that? Stand your ground. Speak louder. Change is often met with resistance, but you have the power in your voice to shift perspectives. Even one whisper can spark a roar. The weight of uncertainty lingered in Kayla's stomach. But what if my whisper isn't enough? Maria shifted closer, her voice softening. There's strength in numbers. Once you begin to share your story, others are bound to feel the same way. They'll join you. Together, you'll form a chorus of voices that can't be ignored. Kayla let the idea settle, imagining a sea of people beside her, united in strength. Could it really happen? Remember, Maria added, you're not just speaking for yourself. You're giving a voice to the voiceless. They need you just like you needed someone once. Kayla felt tears prick at her eyes. The support she had craved might not just come from her friends and family, it could come from those she had never even met, Suddenly, a loud explosion of color erupted in the sky above them. Fireworks danced, crackling and shimmering, illuminating the crowd below. People oohed and ahed, their faces lighted with wonder. In that chaotic moment, Kayla felt a fire igniting inside her. Okay, she breathed, barely registering the cheers around her. I'll do it. I'll try to share my story. Maria's face lit up with pride. Good. That's the spirit. But as the excitement coursed through her, doubt crept back. But if I do this, what if things get ugly? What if I lose friends? Maria nodded knowingly. There will always be a cost to speaking out. But ask yourself this. Is the risk worth it? If it can help even one person feel less alone, isn't that a price worth paying? Kayla bit her lip. Hadn't she spent years feeling lost? Alone? The thought of being silenced again felt unbearable. Before she could fully process the depth of what she was committing to, a girl across the crowd caught her attention. She appeared to be about Kayla's age, with bright blue hair and an unyielding gaze. There was something about her, the fierce defiance in her stance, the way she stood tall among the chaos of the festival. Then, the girl shouted over the crowd. Who's ready to join me and share our stories? Together, we are unstoppable. Her words echoed, and Kayla felt them cut through her own fears like a knife. The crowd's energy shifted, people began to cheer, and Kayla's heart raced. A wave of urgency filled her being. What if she's right? Kayla whispered, a thrill of excitement rushing through her. Maria smiled knowingly. Then you join her. This is your moment, Kayla. Don't let this chance slip away. The question hung heavy in the air. Could she really take that leap? Just as Kayla felt her feet moving toward the loud, inviting call, a nagging voice in her head insisted, what if the crowd turns against you? And before she could catch herself, she hesitated again. Would everyone truly be ready to listen? Or would she become the target instead? The moment stretched as anticipation crackled in the midst of the fireworks, leaving Kayla at a crossroads. Would she step into the unknown, or retreat back into her comfortable silence? Time seemed to stop as she stood on the brink of her decision, the only certainty being that the answer could change everything. The cheers grew louder, pulling Kayla from her thoughts. She could almost feel the warmth of the crowd's energy surrounding her, a wave beckoning her forward. But doubt still had her feet glued to the ground. What if they didn't understand? What if her words fell flat? Maria leaned closer, her presence a steady anchor. Listen to them, Kayla. They're ready for change, just like you are. Trust your voice. Taking a shaky breath, Kayla glanced back to the girl with blue hair, who now stood on a makeshift platform, raising her arm high in the air. She radiated a confidence that could light 1,000 fireworks. Together, we can shift the narrative. Who's with me? Her voice echoed across the festival, and the crowd responded with a thunderous roar. Kayla's heart pounded. Could she really step onto that platform, among the sea of raised hands? Every fiber of her being screamed for connection. The thought of sharing her story felt like standing on the edge of a diving board, ready to leap into the deep blue below. Do it, Maria urged, her eyes shining with encouragement. You are not alone. Summoning all her courage, Kayla took a step forward, and then another. Each step felt like a mini-victory, the crowd's voices lifting her higher. As she reached the front, a mixture of excitement and fear surged through her. The girl with blue hair spotted her and grinned. Welcome. Are you ready to inspire? Kayla nodded, her heart racing. She climbed up onto the makeshift stage, feeling the heat of the lights overhead and the energy of the crowd beneath her. The world fell away, leaving only her and this moment. The crowd silenced, all eyes on her. A million thoughts swirled in her mind. What could she say that mattered? Would her story spark something? Hi, everyone, she began, her voice trembling at first. I'm Kayla, she swallowed hard. I've struggled for a long time with feeling like I don't belong. With each word, the tension eased. Faces in the crowd began to nod in agreement, some even calling out their support. But I realized something important, she continued, taking another steadying breath. We all have stories. Our pain, our joys, they connect us. I learned that speaking out can help not just ourselves, but others who feel lost too. The energy shifted again. She saw people in the crowd connecting with her, their expressions reflecting her own fears and hopes. I don't want to be silent anymore, Kayla said louder now, her voice gaining strength. I want to share my truth, and I want all of you to feel safe sharing yours. Together, we can change things. A roar erupted from the crowd, full of unfiltered emotion. Kayla's heart swelled. This was it. This was the moment she had needed. The fear faded, replaced by a fierce determination. A hand shot up in the crowd, and they called out, "Can we all share? Let us do this together." "Absolutely," Kayla replied, feeling the weight of their collective excitement. The girl with blue hair clapped her hands, spreading the infectious energy. "All right, let us create a tapestry of our voices. Each story matters." Kayla felt tears brimming in her eyes as she watched others step forward, one by one, sharing their own struggles, their triumphs. It became clear, this was more than a festival. It was a canvas, painted with stories that defied silence. But just as the atmosphere felt buoyant with hope and possibility, an unexpected shout broke through the unity. "What makes you think your story matters?" Kayla's heart sank for a moment, the voice jarring against the harmony. She glanced around, sensing the shift in energy. She could feel an air of tension tightening among the crowd. Would they turn against her? Would they listen or push back? In that instant, Kayla faced a new challenge, not just to share her truth, but to defend it as well. Would she step up again and face the doubts, or would she falter? The answer lingered like the fading echoes of the festival, leaving Kayla at another crossroads, with the weight of her next decision heavy on her shoulders. The moment hung in the air, crackling with uncertainty and the promise of something transformative. Would she rise to the occasion? The crowd's energy shifted, as if a sudden cold gust swept through them, dampening the warmth of their earlier excitement. Kayla's heart raced, uncertainty clawing at her. How could someone question the value of sharing their own journey? This was not just about her, it was about all of them. Taking a deep breath, Kayla felt Maria South's reassuring presence still close, as if her friend were sending strength directly into her veins. Folding her hands around the microphone, Kayla steeled her resolve. "What makes my story matter? It matters because it's real. It matters because I felt lost alone in my struggles." A murmur rolled through the crowd, a soft wave of empathy relaying back to her. She could see eyes glistening, people connecting with her honesty. "And I know I'm not alone in feeling this way. We all face challenges, doubts. This is a space to lift each other up, not tear each other down." She glanced at the person who shouted, their face hidden in the crowd, mulling over the shared vulnerability in the air. Every one of our stories is a piece of a larger puzzle. We may not have all the answers, but by sharing, we bring light to places that feel dark and heavy. Isn't that worth something? As she spoke, she could feel a palpable shift. A few people in the front row nodded, their faces now reflecting understanding instead of discomfort. The blue-haired girl smiled, her support unyielding. Kayla continued, her voice steady. "I didn't want to come here today, but I did because I knew this was important. It's about breaking the silence that binds us, about building a community where everyone's voice is welcome." Suddenly, a woman stepped out from the crowd, her expression fierce but her voice calm. "What if I told you I feel the same way? That I often feel invisible?" Kayla's heart soared. This was the moment. It was working. "Then share with us." Kayla encouraged, her own excitement bubbling to the surface. "What is your story?" The woman took a deep breath, tears trailing down her cheeks. "I've faced struggles I can't even begin to describe. I've been hurt by words, and I felt like my voice didn't matter." That final piece, that raw honesty rang out like a bell. Others began to join in, stepping up to the mic, sharing their own stories, their own pain, and their own truths. Kayla listened, each narrative weaving into a rich tapestry of connection, transforming doubt into understanding. Desperation turned into applause as more stories poured out, blending together like brushstrokes. A feeling of solidarity floated upwards, palpable and electric. Kayla realized it was more than just words. It was a chorus of healing that echoed into the night. But as the last story concluded, the weight of apprehension began to creep back in. That question still hung in the air, gnawing at her. What if they turned against her again? What if they doubted once more? Just then, a familiar voice broke through. "Why should we listen to you?" It echoed, deep and skeptical, from the back of the crowd. Kayla's stomach dropped. There it was again. Another challenge. Would the festival of stories become a battlefield? She looked around at the faces illuminated by the shimmering lights, faces that had shared laughter, tears, and heartbeats. Because we all deserve to be heard, she started again, her voice unwavering. And what I've learned in these moments is that silence never teaches anyone. If there's even one person here who needs to feel understood, then my story matters. An anticipation paused in the air, everyone holding their breath. Would they join her in this? Would they rise together to face the challenge of the doubt? As Kayla spoke in the eye of uncertainty, she felt her own wings unfurling. They were ready for more, for a come-together that none of them had anticipated. But would they be able to overcome the heavier shadows lurking in the corners of their hearts? The answer was just out of reach, lingering on the edge of this monumental night. Would the festival evolve into something more than a moment of shared stories? The pulse of the crowd held. Undeniable promise. The direction was still unclear, but one truth shone brightly. They were all in it together. Kayla stood tall, the murmurs of the crowd swirling around her like a restless sea. She felt the weight of their attention, a fragile thread binding them all. The flickering lights of the festival painted a picture of hope in her mind, but the shadows of doubt still loomed large. Would they choose to embrace her message? Could she truly lead them to a place of understanding? Just then, a girl with striking blue hair stepped forward, determination etched on her face. "Let us show what real strength looks like," she shouted, rallying those near her. "We'll banish our fear with our voices." Her fervent words rippled through the crowd, igniting a spark. It was a moment of reckoning, a call to arms against the silence that had imprisoned them for too long. Encouraged by the girl's courageous spirit, Kayla took a deep breath, looking around at the faces of those who had felt unheard, unseen. "Together, we can create a movement," she exclaimed, heart racing. "Let us lift each other, share our stories, and fight for a community where everyone feels visible." The crowd surged forward, energy building like a wave prepared to crash. People began to shout their agreement, voicing their own experiences. "I want to feel heard," someone cried. "Me too," came another shout, and the urgency of their shared pain began to meld into a powerful collective heartbeat. Suddenly, an older gentleman in the back raised his hand, his voice steady as he spoke. "My family always taught me to turn a blind eye to those beneath me. But I feel it now. I understand your cries." He stepped forward, vulnerability radiating from him. "You have my support, and I vow to listen and learn." Kayla's heart swelled. This was a breakthrough, a pivotal moment for compromise. "Thank you," she called out, relief flooding her voice. "If we can embrace our differences and our struggles, we can pave the path for change." As she spoke those words, a ripple of understanding washed over the crowd. They were no longer a collection of strangers tethered together by uncertainty. They were becoming a community forged in the fires of empathy and hope. Maria stepped beside Kayla, her face illuminated by the festival lights, teeming with pride. "This is what we fight for, a chance to connect, to rise together above the noise," she exclaimed, her voice ringing out clear and powerful. "We all carry stories that can change lives." The moment cemented itself within Kayla's heart, a truth she would carry forward. She realized they weren't just sharing stories. They were forming a network of souls ready to support one another through their trials. People stepped up one by one, speaking their truths, sharing their struggles, and acknowledging one another's pain. The air filled with the spirit of connection, each story a thread woven into a tapestry, stitching their hearts closer together. Laughter and tears intertwined, creating an emotional fabric that encapsulated the essence of humanity. As the last story flowed into the night, a sense of relief washed over Kayla. They had entered the shadows with doubt, and now they stood in the light of shared understanding. Hope surged through her veins, fire igniting her spirit. She laughed, overjoyed at the sight around her. But even as they celebrated, a voice called from the edge of the crowd, skeptical yet uncertain. "Can it really last? Can this change take root?" Kayla looked out at the sea of faces, now radiating conviction, excitement, and an undeniable sense of purpose. "Yes," she replied, confidence ringing in her words. "This is just the beginning. Together, we become the change." The festival transformed, an empowerment born from struggle and understanding. Underneath the fireworks lighting the night sky, something real, something lasting took root. They had unshackled their voices and united their hearts, breaking barriers once thought insurmountable. The festival reached its crescendo, Kayla knew their stories would ripple long after the night had ended, sparking a movement far larger than themselves. And in that cacophony of laughter, voices, and promises, she felt an immovable sense of belonging. Now more than ever, with a full heart and radiant smile, Kayla stood among her friends, her community transformed, uplifted, and ready to forge a path toward a brighter future where privilege meant empathy and every voice mattered. This was their moment. And as the final firework exploded in the sky, she understood the real story was only just beginning. Now it's time for you to take action. You need to subscribe immediately to this channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. And comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let's keep the conversation going. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can spread the message further. Your support means everything.